Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the AJC. It is myself and Omer to cover the wild match that was Juve versus Lecce, ending 1-0. And no, not wild. Not wild at all. Actually, reason why we're starting a bit late, I pretty much just woke up from the coma this match put me into, okay? Absolutely brutal. But, hey, needed the win. Got the win, but we're gonna take a look at it all right now. Omer, how you doing, man?
I'm good, as good as can be.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. I myself,
Yeah.
as everybody knows, yesterday I'm dealing with a house full of sick children, unfortunately, sick wife, and today I myself also feeling under the weather. We're gonna see how this one goes. I'm gonna see if I can tough her out for the whole thing. Otherwise, we might shut her down early. Otherwise, we've prepared a little bit entertainment for maybe an intermission should I need a break. So don't worry, we got it covered. All right. Say what's up to the lads coming in here. Joey Cappuccino. Buongiorno, Joe. Ciao, Alex. Dell saying the result, yes. Performance, no. Alex P, boring 3 points. I'll take it after the Sassuolo fiasco. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all that really matters, not how you get it or whatnot. But still, question marks remain. And right now, the Sassuolo one brought up questions. And now this one is still leaving us with some questions that are unanswered about the team. But we'll recap it really quick. And I'm serious, it's going to be really quick to recap. There's not a whole bunch to talk about in this one whatsoever, but we'll go through it real quick with Omer. Omer, the lineup. So as expected, we were going to get Szczesny in goal. Szczesny was in goal, and then we had Rugani, Bremer, and Danilo. McKennie, Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot, Cambiaso with Milik and Chiesa. What were your thoughts on the starting lineup?
I think it was what we kind of expected. I think it's also necessary. I mean, to rotate some of those guys, Milik gotta have some minutes in his legs in case he has to step up. He can't keep performing for 10 minutes every match and expect him to be in match shape. And I was kind of disappointed. Wea didn't get a chance. But besides that, I mean, it's kind of expected. I didn't expect the midfield to change, except for Fagioli. We knew Gatti was going to start on the bench. Szczesny is whatever. The rest are pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. I mean, I had no problems with it, really. Fagioli coming in there, it was time. Locatelli, Rabiot, you just hope they'd bring more than the previous match. McKennie has been great as right wing back, I'll say that. Chiesa's been great. Cambiaso need to come back in at the back. I have no problem with it. Some people had an issue with the inconsistency of trying to set a message because you've got Gatti that's now out. Szczesny and Gatti were the two worst in the Sassuolo debacle. Do you think that doesn't necessarily send the full message if you've got one of them out of there and not switching two?
No, I think it's the difference of age and the stature of the guy. Szczesny is still older. He had bad games in the past that he had to recover from. For Gatti, it's kind of the first one where it's really on him. He made the mistake, so maybe he needs the time out a bit. Tech, I don't know if it will do anything anyway. Keeping him out, I would have rather seen Perrin consistently, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'd. That's a fair assessment and whatnot. Send a message him. He's new to the squad. First time he really had to deal with that type of performance. So yeah, that's a good shout from you, Omer. We're gonna get straight to the highlights in the first half. Like literally, this is it. Okay, 25th minute, hard cross coming in from Big Mac, almost deflected off the keeper and then off the defender's shin and in, but goes wide. Literally within this sequence. Ball comes out to Chiesa. Chiesa works lovely out from the flank, cutting inside. Danilo had stepped right up. He's just outside the area. They work a little bit of a 1-2. Danilo slips it through, and Chiesa puts this thing wide at the back post. That is obviously the one best opportunity from the first half. The rest wasn't really anything special, and we go into halftime and talk about that opportunity. Talk about the half, Omer.
Well, the opportunity, I mean, it relates to the half. There were some good moments in attack that they managed to complete a few passes and get into the area. Sometimes a bit too far from goal on Chiesa's weak foot and whatnot, but overall it was boring, to say the
Yeah,
least. Not a lot happening, even from the Lecce side. Now I don't know how to gauge Lecce yet because it's very early and they're like high flying Lecce right now in fourth place or whatever. But I don't know if they can keep it up consistently. Maybe looking back, and if we're in January and they're back to 16th place, then it's an annoying match. If they
yeah,
manage to keep it up and be a problem for other teams, yeah, maybe we won a game that we may not have easily won it
yeah,
otherwise.
yeah. The first half, it's just there's not much to say. Like it was
There,
pretty drab, and I mean the same
there
thing.
are negative things to say about passing and stuff, but
So this
we'll get
one
to
for
that at
me
the
had a
end.
combination of some coaches' influence and some players. The players themselves, I think the execution was pretty poor. Again, other than a couple of players. McKennie continues to do very, very well. Chiesa, Chiesa continues to do very, very well himself as well. But the rest, it's like it just we had 2/3 of the midfield drab again, absolutely drab. Fagioli was easily the best one. And he was getting involved the way I'd liked him to see. And I want a little bit more. But again, we talk about this situational thing and this stylistic thing where they rule out if a team rules out the Regista and going through there, these other guys are bombing up way too quick. And they're just going up there. And again, you find yourself in a scenario where you get your backs, your defenders, quarterbacking. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Danilo trying to quarterback this team. I don't want to see Bremer trying to do it. I don't want to see Rugani try and do it. So you've got to figure this out. It has to involve your midfielders. You need to go up the field as a unit, okay? When teams are doing that to you.
The
Regardless,
question is who's at fault. That's what interests me.
well, for
Are
me,
the
for this particular thing, it is Max that needs
no,
to.
not no, not coach wise. I mean department wise. Are the defendant fault of that for kicking the ball up high too early and not waiting for
Well, no, but this is what I'm
passes,
saying.
or
Our
the
Metsalas
midfield?
have already bombed up there. So that's why it's got to be instructed and they've got to come back. They've got to be options. We need to go there. We can't just rely
They
on this
have to.
because how many times did you see Danilo just pump it up to absolutely nobody? He's nowhere near the lone guy in the vicinity, which is Milik. We can't have that. So
No, we
it's
got to stop
just
with the long balls. The long ball play is horrible. It doesn't work. Like, how many goals have we actually managed to score from those long balls? Yeah, when Bonucci was doing that, with all his faults, his passing is something that can't be underestimated or anything. We don't have that guy now who can deliver those passes perfectly. We haven't scored goals from long shots in like forever. And if we did, I mean, it's basically luck. It's not a game plan. You can base our game around that.
yeah. I just again I see that stylistically, but then beyond that again, and this is why I've been saying, even though I've been attacked for a few days here, it's all involved, but it's not just on Max. Everybody like it isn't. These players were dreadful. For anybody that's played the game, okay, I don't even care at what level. Okay, are you telling me you get this ball in these areas? Are you looking at your coach to for him to tell you what to do in these scenarios? Absolutely not. These guys have minds of their own. They have brains. They got to figure it out. They have to figure it out because the execution from them was poor. The touch was brutal. The decision making again like just took so long for them to sort it out. And then on top of it, you have these Metsalas that are bombing forward. And again, we're leaving guys that shouldn't be in charge with the ball at their feet in charge. So we have a couple things at play. But ultimately, I'm starting to like need way more from these players. I'm starting to need way, way more from these players, especially if these guys are going to be locks. And I'm talking about our midfielders. Locatelli and Rabiot for me were brutal yesterday. Now, again, Rabiot's been like this split amongst the fans where some were saying, well, no, he won us the game. He keeps doing contributions. He's off to a good start. Like, he's doing fine. And then there's others that are completely against him. What's your assessment so far, Rabiot? What was your assessment of Rabiot in this game yesterday? And I guess we'll
I
talk about
don't.
it because that's really the only highlight we got to talk about. The 1-0 goal, 56-minute,
Yeah.
cross
So
in.
maybe
Milik
can
settles
run.
it, plays it over to Big Mac. He puts it over to the back post. Rabiot hits it back across goal, and Milik puts it home. And that's our goal. Scrappy 1-0 goal. It's all we needed in the end, but there you have it. So your thoughts on
Yeah.
Rabiot?
I think he hasn't arrived yet to this season. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's well below the level he was last season. In like every aspect of his game, something is either wrong with him or I don't know. I don't have an explanation for it, and that's an annoying question because I tweeted it out yesterday or xed it out, and Locatelli and Rabiot are untouchable in midfield, especially in this season. We'll see them play, I guess, 37, 36 matches from the entire season. But neither of them look like they deserve to be. I'm sorry, both of them don't look like they deserve to be untouchable. And they're not like your Pirlos who you can take out, who can suddenly create a goal from nothing. Those guys you have to keep on because you never know what they're going to bring. They usually they end the game the way they started it, so they improved a bit in the second half. But I thought both of them were bad, and both of them were bad for most of this season. Barring the Lazio game, I don't know. So some rotation is needed there. They need to feel a bit more threatened for their position. Definitely not untouchables for me.
Yeah. And we have some comments here. Tony Trim. You're right, Al. The players have their own brains. However, they have had it drilled in their heads for 3 years on how the coach wants them to play, forcing them to back pass all the time.
Yeah, but still,
Is
you're a
that
professional
is
footballer. You can't miss a 5 meter pass that badly. You just
yeah,
can't.
like Dell's is saying, Al, it points to the fact that they don't train well. They should, or sorry, I just had it up here, lost it. Come on. They don't train well. They should, at this point, know generally what our game plan is, and I can excuse the occasional failed execution, but they look clueless at times. Yeah, but again, there is moments where you can see the option watching the game. You could see where they need to go. You could see where they need to progress the ball. Yesterday was not a scenario where our tactics, our training failed us, or our game plan failed us. Especially in the second half when Lecce tried to do something, even though they mustered absolutely nothing, okay? And what, they finished with 2 attempts? Nothing on target. So that's the perfect bounce back game for Szczesny. Didn't even have to make a save. But that was not a problem. These guys falter time and time again in the crucial moments. I saw Rabiot in the 65th minute going for goal with Chiesa flat at the top of the area, waiting for an easy layoff. I seen guys trying to dribble when there's an easy outlet. I saw Cambiasso time and time again. I'm not sure why he doesn't want to cross the damn ball when he does have options in there at the time. Like, over and over and over. Our tactics, our gameplay, our system did not hinder us in getting into Lecce's attacking area. Like, we were all around it. The guys just have no idea. And at the end of the day, no matter what I'm coached, no matter what I'm trained, no matter what's going on, in all my years of playing, when I get out there on the pitch, it's me against whoever's on the opposite side, and I do whatever the hell I can and figure out how I'm going to break through and whatnot. The performances are on me. I've never come off a pitch and been like, man, I shit the bed because of you. Like, I've never done that, okay? And I would never do it in a game where the team that we were playing did absolutely nothing. This is a game a team, okay, with their wits about them, should have easily taken control of and won 3-0. Easily. Easily a 3-0 game. This one, in my opinion. I
For
don't
us.
see anything tactically that I see some tactical things we can work on and get better, but they didn't like hinder us in this game, in my personal opinion. Omer, your thoughts?
I kind of agree. I don't have a lot to add. I mean, the players need to take responsibilities too. The players I give most, I criticize the most of the players I expect the most from. I expect a lot from Rabiot and Lucatelli because I know that if Fajoli has a bad game, he gets benched the next one.
Yeah.
So no point in criticizing him. He pays for his mistakes every game, basically. But the guys that don't, even I would even throw out maybe Milik, maybe Vlahovic. I expect more from these guys. Kostic, Bremer, the guys who are a bit older, who's been here a season or more. So I don't know. There's just some elements to the game that you just catch your head and like, how do you miss that? How is that shot so weak when you're free to shoot? It's elementary stuff in
Yeah.
football. It's crossing while running. It's double passing with each other. I mean, those are the things that infuriate me. I don't care if a long shot is way off the target. It happens. It happens to everyone. Fine. At least they tried. But when you're just outside the area and you shoot it hard, low, I mean not hard, easy, and straight at the keeper, that's a wasted opportunity. Chiesa can't be the only one running around, getting into the area, freeing himself from defenders. Someone else has to do it. And we have to work on our crossing, low crossing mainly. We get into that position a lot, but we never manage to complete the pass.
Yeah. Dels, so are you at the point the players are just not good enough for the Scudetto standard we hold them accountable to? I'm at the point where I'm losing the belief. I feel when I watch this team, when you're coming out for a game that you are supposed to take control of, you're supposed to get this victory at all costs, it's important, and set the tone for what happened against Sassuolo. And I see the majority of the players play the same fashion, making the same mistakes, with a lot of them having the same lack of desire or drive seemingly in their work rate and effort. I feel like I believe in them more than they believe in themselves. And that may be a criticism that can be aimed at Max Allegri, but I feel like these players don't actually believe. I feel like I believe in them more than they do themselves. There
Yeah.
is a mentality thing here with these guys. And as Omer alludes to, it is basic fundamental errors these guys are making. Okay? It is just it's a bit of everything. It isn't just strictly players. It isn't just strictly Max, but you know, it's why I feel, and even dating back to last season, that I'm not 100% convinced another manager comes in and all of a sudden we just start ripping. I don't think that's the case. I really, really don't. Like, there, you need guys that are ready to like take the lead on a team that's like begging for some type of resurgence in DNA. And we don't have them. I don't think we have them. Chiesa is the guy I can point to now. Locatelli, my doubts are increasing, if I'm being honest. And everybody knows how much I love Loca. But my doubts are increasing by the match. Omer?
Yeah, Locatelli's starting to turn a corner, but in a negative way. Because I held out long for him, but okay, let's say he's been played out of position. Maybe that's not his best position, period. He's been under the same manager for 3 years, so obviously something isn't working and we keep trying it. He's good there, he's good defensively, but offensively he has completely lost it. He was very effective offensively at Sassuolo. And now, okay, he has one assist to Vlahovic, but beyond that, I mean, you have to go back to maybe March, I believe, of 2021. Oh, sorry, 2022. He has one assist here, one assist there, but he's a midfielder. He's not contributing enough to the attack. Rabiot, okay, he took the load. He took a lot of the offensive load from midfield last season, but if he's not doing it now, it's a problem. We need all of them to step it up, especially
Yeah,
those guys. And the lack of leadership is really felt around the club on the pitch.
yeah.
Really
It
felt, and not maybe not defensive wise. I mean, when you have a good team, you have at least one leader, natural leader, in every department on the pitch. If you look back at former Juve teams, and you had one guy with character in goal, in defense, in midfield, in attack. So they all kind of, work together, and no one ever gives up no matter where he plays. But when we have like Danilo trying, and I know they're saying Rabiot is a leader in the dressing room and whatnot, but it's not it. It's not it. I feel like there's a big character missing in this team, and I don't know where we can get it from.
yeah. And I feel the same way. And again, in saying that doesn't give a coach the pass. It doesn't, because there's still things we need to work on tactically, obviously, positionally. But again,
But we've been talking about Max for 3 seasons. Maybe it's time we talk about the players as well, more extensively.
exactly. And this is going back to Locatelli, which Apex just simply says Loca sucks. I don't necessarily agree, but number one, it's great to see you back here. I was thinking about you today, Apex, wondering, hey, where the hell did Apex go? It's great to see you back in the live chat, my friend. And
Yeah.
everybody, please drop a like while you're in here. All right. Um, I don't think Locatelli sucks, okay? But he has got to find some continuity. And I was talking about this today. And out of position, players out of position and whatnot. And Max, like this team's struggling, like we got to bail on the 3-5-2. Well, what does that explain about a guy like McKennie? A guy like McKennie who was tried to get shipped out is playing at right wing back and is making it his own and is putting in shifts. I would say right next there, his name is right next there with Chiesa over the past 2 games of guys that look like they give a shit. He out of position, okay? But again, going back to the players themselves, going back to this pride thing, I don't care where the hell I played, okay? I'm just looking at it from a player's perspective. I'm going out there to give it everything I fucking have and make an impact. Like Deuce, I don't care where you play me. And overall, look at Chiesa. Why is nobody talking about this all of a sudden? That Chiesa is being this influential player, this impactful guy, and he's doing it as second striker. I always said, I don't care where you line these guys up on team sheets. It's the roles, it's what they do, it has to suit them and whatnot. That he could play that role, and he's proven that. Now all of a sudden, this talk about these guys that are out of position, it's kind of fading away. So these guys just need to man up, sack up, and do better and bring the proper level and standard game in, game out. That's not hard, regardless of what you're being trained, regardless of what you're being drilled. It's a matter of pride and what these guys are made of. Like,
Yeah,
we need to
I
ask
also
more of these
agree.
players. Otherwise, I don't care what coach you're going to be bringing in here. We're going to struggle for a long time. We need the right characters. And it's clearly evident
Yeah,
if you're going to look at the guys that are at that standard to everybody else, it's clearly evident on the pitch how big that gap is. Because from Chiesa down to whoever you put at the next closest, there's a big, big gap there in what we see as far as the drive and determination.
I
That's just
also
me.
agree with Matthew Kuti here that the players look limited in the technical point of view. They are.
Yeah.
Some of the players' technical play, technique mainly. Again, the fundamental stuff: stopping the ball, passing while running. I mean, those basic things you learn when you're a kid. The first thing you work on are lacking to too many players. If you have one like that, two like that, you can make it disappear. But to your point, yeah, like we really need a Mandzukic, a guy that no matter where you put him, He'll fight like it's his position, has always been, and it doesn't matter who's up against him. Juve still have that element of fear, especially after the Sassuolo game. They were very afraid to concede a goal in this match.
I think for
So
me, we need a general in the middle of the
yeah,
pitch.
we can't be a team that breaks down after conceding one goal. And we were last season. We were a team that completely couldn't win after they conceded. We had like what one the entire
One win
season.
in the last 22 where we've conceded, I believe, or 23 games where we've conceded. It's like one win, 6 draws, 16 losses.
Yeah. So I don't even want to put the blame on anyone. I don't care if it's Max or if it's the players or the management or whoever. It's just not good enough for Juve for what we
And
got accustomed to.
this is a great point from Jeremiah. Players getting comfortable, expectations too low. So this is a thing where it's why I don't like when Max talks about top 4. Because number one, it's not true. We all know it's not true. We know what the aim is. Okay? He's not fooling anybody. Okay? Still, as a player, okay, if I'm there, I don't really give a shit what he says about that. Like, we know what the expectations are in house, regardless of what he says out there. And again, it's kind of one of those things where people were challenging me after yesterday's live I did, saying, how can you say Max is babying these players? And I'm like, well, that's how I see it. If a guy's constantly deflecting, okay, and not willing to take on that aim, like for me, I think he knows how mentally fragile this lot is. That's how I see it. Maybe they can't handle those expectations. Maybe that's when all the talk kind of hyped up. They fell flat on their face against Sassuolo.
Maybe they should stop talking about what position they'll be at the end of the season. Does it really matter? Does it really create anything? Stop answering that question. Stop saying we're challenging after every loss or every bad game. We are challenging for top 4. We're aiming to get back to Europe. Stop talking about it. We don't care. You know we don't care. The players shouldn't care. They should come to each match without looking at the end of the season. So is
Yeah.
Max. I'm
And that's the
tired of
thing.
hearing
I
like
thought the same
zero.
thing. I thought the same thing. I said, when you're talking about that, okay, I would have said the same thing. It's just time to stop talking about favorites and say, you know who the favorites are? Like, it really doesn't matter who the favorites are. Because at the end of the day, whoever wins the Scudetto is the team with the most points. And that may not
Yeah.
necessarily be the favorites. And the favorites could
Who ha-
change throughout the season. And just end it at that. Fucking end it. Okay?
who had their money on Napoli and Milan in the past 2 seasons?
Nobody.
No one. Nobody.
Now,
Literally nobody.
and this is one of the things why I do still say there's an element of coach's influence that we can't ignore, even though, I'm starting to really get frustrated with our players from what I'm seeing on the pitch that I actually put towards the players. But we can't ignore a coach's influence either. Okay? And I think Rudy Garcia right now with what's going on in Napoli is a prime example of that. That's the same midfield. Okay? And it operates nothing like what it did last season. If you want to talk about Conte, are you telling me that Azzurri side he went on that run with has a better midfield than Juventus currently? Not even close. Not even
No, they
close.
might have. No, they might have. I mean, there were still De Rossi and Marquisio in that midfield. Those are characters.
Sorry.
Those are
Okay.
leaders.
But for the majority,
Attacking
you had
wise,
Montelivo, Giaccherini, and because
yeah,
Marquisio got hurt, for the most part, he didn't even have Marquisio.
yeah.
Okay?
The main problem was
And
attack.
De Rossi
I
played as
mean,
a center back too, but regardless, okay? I'll concede there, okay?
yeah,
If you want to look at Inter for as an example too, and I got challenged on this one, and I'm still going to challenge this. Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan. I'm sorry. 2/3 of that midfield is Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, and they perform completely different than how Juve's midfield operates. Okay? Yeah, and who could forget Barolo? That's right.
Oh, the magical Parolo, yeah.
So listen, like we can't like ignore it. And if I'm looking at how Inter operates their midfield, it's the one thing I talked about with us that I see happening. The Metsalas bail out immediately, and the regista is simply sitting there. And if he's marked out, it goes to the guys you don't want leading it. Inter rotates the hell out of their midfield. It doesn't matter who's that one guy coming back with it. And even when Brozovic was back there, Barella was still coming back. Çalhanoğlu, when he was playing the outside, he was still coming back. Like, these guys get involved. These are all players that want to be on the ball, that can direct and everything. Now, if you're going to look at that midfield and tell me that, okay, Rabiot's probably a little technically limited to come back and operate like that, I'd probably say, yeah, you're probably right. But Moretti can do it, Fagioli can do it, Locatelli can do it. Like, so even if you want to rule out that one guy, he could still come back and help and bring a defender with him, accept the ball, switch field. Like, he should still at least be capable of just doing that, bare minimum. But I'm not sold that these guys are just miles ahead of us in terms of quality. I'm not.
No, I think they are, at least midfield wise. But because Inzaghi is, he knows how to use them. Okay, he understood what Mkhitaryan can bring because Mkhitaryan played very differently at Dortmund, at United, and at Roma. He played more advanced, like some sort of a CAM. Now he's a replacement for Brozovic. Çalhanoğlu was mid at best at Milan. And he figured out how to use those guys correctly. And yeah, Barella is better than all of our midfielders. Sad to say it, but that's the reality. So some of it is due to coaching and correct positioning, and some of it is just to the player themselves. I mean, I'm not shocked that Mkhitaryan. There's a reason this guy is still plays at the top, and this advanced in his career. Maybe we're missing some older guy in midfield, someone with character who has won titles, who understands how to, just manipulate himself during games and when to go out on counter, when to stay back, when to pass forward, sort of a metronome like Pirlo did, but not exactly Pirlo. I'm not expecting us to bring a new Pirlo. And I think you're muted. You're muted. Berto, you're muted.
Fuck. All right. This is why I'm saying these guys need to sack up, man. You've got no movement. And again, when you look at how those other teams operate, the movement is. We may as well be standing still in comparison. And for the most part, we actually are in the middle of the pitch. The movement, these guys are moving everywhere. Again, we saw it yesterday where Fagioli is yelling at players to get in the proper position. That can't happen at this level, you guys. It can't.
Mm-hmm.
But it does.
Now, I agree with Jat here because we talked about it in the green room earlier. There's also the impact of our defensive line sitting way too deep no matter how we play, which invites counterattacks. Because we want Locatelli pushing forward and spraying passes like he used to do. But he has to keep an eye out back because the defense is too far apart. So every attack we concede is a counterattack. It's dangerous, and we conceded 4 goals like that against Sassuolo. Well, not exactly like that, but some of them. But it's a recurring problem. We need to push up as a team. That's where I'm seeing a big problem. We don't push up as a team, and we always try to rush forward and run forward and pass it to the guy who's furthest up the pitch. And we need someone to dictate the play more calmly and understand the fluidity of the game. It's not down even to technical ability or physicality. It's just Mkhitaryan is a smart guy. Okay, he knows how to distribute the play. We're missing someone like that at the moment. We have guys who have the lungs to run all game, fine. Technically, they're lacking, all of them. And I don't want to look to the youngster and say, yeah, there's our salvation. These are the guys, because I don't want to put that pressure on Miretti and Fagioli. They
Yeah.
should be integrated like they do, switching up with each other. But there's a character missing in midfield, both from a leadership standpoint and like a metronome standpoint.
Yeah. What's interesting is that Fabrizio Ravanelli spoke yesterday, essentially saying the exact same things I said yesterday morning. That you could, it was very telling when you go 2-2 in that game to Sassuolo, and then Sassuolo faces nothing after that. It was as if the job was done from Juve, shelled up,
Yeah.
and that was it. And that tells me a lot about where these guys are and where their heads at. But again, who was the one driving? Who's the one pushing? Who's the one trying to get that urgency going? And it was Federico Chiesa. You can't have one guy at that level across 11. You can't do it. You can't do it. If you want to have the true expectations that many of us were hoping for going into the season with one competition, you can't do it. You can't do it. You're going to have blackouts. You're going to have consistency issues because you've got one guy, maybe two, if you want to throw in McKennie, that have that drive to them. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So and this is why I'm leaving so much still for these players to get out there and do it. And it's time to stop babying these guys. It's time for them to sack up and man up and realize that at the end of the day, you don't go out there and play games and look at your coach like, what should I do now? What do I need to do now? Like, that is essentially what we are saying when we put these games all on Max. This was
Especially
the
when
same.
Max is not that type of guy. He's not that type of manager who tells you what to do. He likes the freedom. He likes letting players decide for themselves.
Regardless, like, I mean, you're a professional footballer. You're getting paid a handsome amount of money. Okay, you've made it to this level. Prove that you're worth it. Like, do this for yourself pride. Like, I don't understand how you can't get motivated. Like, even on your own, even if you don't have a motivational coach and maybe he's a manager, whatnot. Like, I still don't understand that. Like, we've played competitive league games in this city I live in, whatnot, and never had a coach or whatever. Nobody had any issues getting hyped up, getting pumped up, or getting ready for games and whatnot. Like, it's just, I can't fathom that mentally for these guys to keep getting excuse after excuse after excuse given to them by the fan base. At what point do we look at these guys and just say, you need to do better from your own standpoint, from your own individual level?
Like, out of our current roster, who besides Chiesa can walk into the management room and say, I want a pay raise, and he'll actually deserve it? Or which guy can we sell for 70 million and it's actually justified? Not because we spent that amount of money on him, because he deserved that amount of money in today's market. How many besides Chiesa?
No, pretty much. And this will happen. It's the coach. Okay, it's the coach.
Look, Allegri has his fault, but we've mentioned them for 3 years now. We've talked about them over and over and over again. The problems are still there, but at some point, I mean, it's not like we have world class players all over that are malfunctioning because of the coach. They have to take some responsibility too. They make high salaries, they're professional athletes, and the club, the board, everyone has faults here, and the players shouldn't be protected.
No. And here's another thing. The main reasons that we talk about, and everyone is saying it's Max, it's Max, it's Max, it's based off speculation. Like, if you're telling me the players are fed up, they don't want to play for Allegri anymore, that's speculation. Unless you're back there behind the scenes. It's kind of like earlier when we were talking about the training. The training isn't good enough. We don't know what the training is. You can't base a double session off a 2-minute clip put on TikTok. Like, we have no idea. We have no idea. All right? And again, some of these guys are repeat offenders. Would you say that all the things that we kind of piss and moan about this current squad weren't present for Pirlo?
Pirlo was kind of a different story. We know now mainly because he didn't have a proper midfield, and Ronaldo. We know now that players said that everything's changed mentally for the team once Ronaldo came in. Bonucci talked about it. Bernardeschi talked about it. They couldn't talk about it while they were in the team. But that's maybe too big of a character for these type of players. So Pirlo, it was his first season. I didn't expect a lot from Pirlo, management wise, in managing the players in the team. But he still had Buffon and Chiellini and Bonucci and some other characters. Ronaldo, for whatever you want to fault him for, he always shouted at players to join, and I mean he has his faults, but he also always wanted to win and always pushed forward and didn't like the low blocking line and stuff. So we're missing characters. That's my main gist of all this talk. We're missing characters on the pitch to shout at players, push the team forward when they don't have the energy to do that. And it
Yeah.
seems like because Max is happy defending. I mean, he likes the
Excuse me.
one goal and sitting back. We know he likes it. He hates conceding more than he likes scoring. Let's put it that way.
Al, do you believe that 3 years in with the same group of players, no coach in the world could achieve better? Pirlo and Sarri don't represent the vast different levels of coaches. They don't, but again, they're symbolic of what's been gradually happening at Juventus. Where's the massive boost in quality to the roster that's taken place? From the guys that have left to the guys we have now, where's this massive boost in terms of players?
For us,
Yeah.
there wasn't. The transition was not that good. It's mainly due to Paratici. Okay, we didn't plan ahead and didn't replace players. Sometimes
And I'm
you
not
you
concerned
need
with.
to bring in a Matuidi. Sometimes you need to bring in a guy like that. For all his faults, but his experience. He had his positive things about his game, and we can't replace everyone with promising youngsters who may or may not be good enough for that level. So yeah, landing a Mkhitaryan or a Giroud is obviously effective for a team, and we failed to do that.
I mean, I'm just looking at this thing, and we keep wanting more. We keep wanting more. We keep calling for a coach to get more, but we don't actually know whether or not this is just where it peaks for this group. That's speculation. It's speculative.
No, I
And this
will
is and this
say,
is coming from a guy who wanted Max out last year. Okay? That's me. This is me, everybody. You guys know where I was. You know where I stood. You know what I wanted to see happen. But year in, year out, at what point do we start to ask the questions of these guys? And at what point do we look at the fact that we knock our coach for the massive amount of lineups he plays over his 2 year span or whatever? He follows up a strong match against Lazio with the exact same lineup. And 9 out of those guys shit the fucking bed. Same exact lineup, same team. At what point do we start looking at these guys and
look,
asking more from them?
look, I'm still on the Allegri out train. I mainly because I look at other teams with, let's say, lesser players, at least in our eyes, that can still do better. I mean, I guarantee if you put De Zerbi in this team, he manages to pull out more because he manages to do that with Brighton in the Premier League, and most of their team is unknown. Okay, I can single out two, maybe three players who are actually deserve to be where they are, but they're overperforming if you look at their roster. Marcelo Bielsa took Leeds, I don't know where they finished 10th or 11th with him after they got promoted. Without him, they went down back to the championship. So managers can have the effect. You don't need, and that's my point is we don't need 11 world class players on the pitch. So I'm still on the max out, and I don't think I remember the sentence from the quote from The Dark Knight. That's what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. That's kind of how I feel about this team with Allegri and the players. Something isn't working there for both sides. The players are not doing well enough, and Max can take them far further than what he has taken them so far.
What about the
Something
lesser
needs to
teams
change.
that dominates? Why don't they dominate other big teams? Is every player Juve signs just massively overrated? Well, that would
Massively
play into our player
overpriced.
thing, would it not? If we're talking about lesser teams that dominate us and they're not dominating other big teams, that would still point to, again, just on a pride level, on a sense, I'm not getting it. And I mean, Chiesa spoke about it to great length recently with everything that happened from Sassuolo to this game yesterday. It hits different when you put the Juve shirt on. That never goes away. Whether we're seventh in the table, whether we're 10th, whether we're up top, it'll never change. It'll always be like that. And maybe just maybe just maybe some of the guys aren't cut for the shirt. And it's okay in saying that. And in saying that, it doesn't excuse a manager who, at the end of the day, needs to get the job done with whoever he has still. But right now, all I'm saying, for me personally, if I'm looking at the opening 6 games of this season, nothing Max has done has been the reason why, and still through 6 games, we've only drawn one and lost one. So it's not dire, everybody, okay? But everything and the calls he's made, the decisions he's made, the way we were playing, which 2 games ago everybody could see the change in sequences, some progress, something start to kind of develop. Nothing he's done is the reason for me that these guys are falling flat, even in games sometimes where we're getting the results. This has been an issue where Juve can't find a strong, solid 90 for multiple coaches. Having a tough time breaking teams down that rule out your regista, that form the wall at the back, that has been consistent at Juventus.
Look,
It's
let's
more to it for me. It's more to it for me.
look. Let's flip the record, okay? Because I mean, if I was tuning in right now, I believe we have lost the match horribly. So let's look at some positives. Let's try to find some positive out of everything that's going on. Like, what did you like about the game last night?
That Chiesa and McKennie are keeping that level, and hopefully others will follow. That's
Okay,
really it for me.
okay, McKenny is a positive. I mean, no one had his money on that, let alone as a right wing back and not a midfielder. We all expected him to go out, but maybe that's it's telling that the level is low. If a guy like McKenny is one of our best performers this season, what can we make of that?
I'm gonna go back and say what you guys don't want to hear. That we just gotta get these guys. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, and you guys know where I stand. And I'm by no means am I Allegri in. Everybody knows I've said the same thing for the past 2 years. I don't give a shit who the coach is, but I'm gonna call it how I see it. And maybe just maybe when Locatelli gets bounced from Milan, goes to Sassuolo, plays very, very well. And I know people want to tie it to De Zerbi and whatnot. But since he's come to Juve, it's not what we probably would have thought we signed up for. Okay? Solid defensively, but I think there's way more there. And we've seen it. We've seen it recently. There is way more to him. But why can't he do that? And if you're trying to tell me it's the coach, it's the same coach that coached him in the Lazio match. Same coach. At what point do we start to question these guys? For me, My belief is I believe in these individuals more than they believe in themselves. And if you want to tie that to a manager that's not giving them that belief, okay, I could see that. But at the end of the day, even myself, I need to do it. I need to do it for myself. I need to have that inner belief. Okay? I'm just saying. And I love this comment. It's okay. You guys can boo. You guys can boo. I'm just telling you. I don't think anybody walks into this team and magically all of a sudden Juventus is corrected and we just start steamrolling and moving forward. I don't see it. I don't see it. Okay.
I think we need a few more players. I also think we need a new coach. That's my main takeaway
I believe
from that.
that we need some roster work. I don't think we have the guys to carry the consistency. I'm starting to really, really doubt that we have the guys to carry the consistency to get the job done, to be honest. I hope I'm wrong, okay? And I hope they sort it out and they pull it together. Depending on what happens, and I said this before, that we can't be happy with just top four. We can't. And this is one of the things where I start to separate from the players. But they're still involved in this. And this is what I'm trying to get at. Okay? You can talk about top four all you want, whatnot, but I have a real problem when we start to accept it. Okay? And this is something we've talked about a lot over the past little bit, is expectations. That should never be the aim for Juventus. Top four. And this is where, like I said, I get a little upset and frustrated with Max. Because he can't keep saying that. Can't keep saying that. And these players can't expect that. You know what? They're going to fall into top four with a mediocre season. They can fall into top four, if we're being honest. Looking at everything else happening, looking at these other teams so far, 6 games in, like, I'm confident top four is fine. Does anybody feel like we're not going to reach top four?
No, I feel like we're going to reach top four. I also feel that it's, except for the money involved, I don't think we're cut up for it. Roster wise. Because if the main guys play the European games, I'm not sure our subs are good enough, to challenge in the league as well. That's an issue. We have seen injuries left, right, and center when we played 3 competitions. So I want the money. We need the money that the promotion gets you. But actually challenging, I don't think I'm ready for another, heartbreak getting kicked out by Porto or Benfica or whoever. And that's just not good. And it's the same players. And I don't want us to aim for top 4. I don't want us to keep talking about aiming for top 4. I want us to shut up, play, and let's talk at the end of the season.
And this is what I mean when I'm talking about protecting the players, babying them, and Max unwilling to associate himself with potential failure and taking accountability. This is my big thing. I can handle not making our objective, because we're lying to ourselves if we say it isn't to aim to try and win the Scudetto. That's bullshit. It is. I can deal with that, okay? I could deal with it not working out. What I can't deal with is the standard continuing to drop to where now these guys who you can't get to consistently perform at the level that we require, now all of a sudden, well, it's okay. We're still in the top 4 of the table. That's where we want to finish the season. No, it's not okay. It's not okay for Juventus to fall flat on their fucking face and gift wrap a game to any team. Whether it's Sassuolo, whether it's Inter, whether it's Empoli, it doesn't fucking matter. We gifted a game away, fell flat on our face, embarrassed ourselves, and then we're trying to tell ourselves top 4 is still the target. Excuse me. It's bullshit. And the standard must be held across the board. So if somebody is actively counterproductive to this standard that you want to set, which will ultimately make men out of these guys, and the ones that it isn't and can't get in line and find their way into it, thank you, but goodbye. We're going to move forward and try and find the right characters that are going to come in here and be able to at least bring the desired standard and requirements to try and get to that level, the level that we see ourselves at needing to be at. It's this battle of if you think he's being realistic or if you think it's all bullshit. And for me, it's bullshit, but the manager needs to, I think, set the tone. And for that, I don't like what Allegri says. And that's why I'd rather him not even answer the fucking question completely rather than continuously say top 4 is the objective. It's not the objective. Fabrizio Ravanelli said it yesterday. No, top 4, that's weak. Should never be an aim. And you're not even playing in Champions League, so of course.
Yeah, and if it's realistic, give it to the board. Talk to them about it. Tell them that's what I can do with this team. Okay, we don't hear it, we don't know about it, we have no idea what they're talking about. But when you talk to the press, which is basically talking to the fans, you can't say that. You know what we expect. And someone mentioned it here, and I swear I just thought about it myself. This is kind of similar to what happened to Arsenal. It just, it became worse and worse, and suddenly they stopped talking about winning and aiming for first place, and let's just aim for top 4. And 2-3 years later, they were praying to get back into top 4, and started buying players that thought they were world class. I think to this day, maybe not past after the last summer, but Nicola Pepe was the top paid African player ever, like with the highest price ever. I have no idea what he does right now. They thought they signed a gem. Evidently, they didn't. That's kind of how I feel with Juve at the moment. Maybe we're giving players too much credit. Maybe it's the same type of stuff that Wenger kept saying and saying, and eventually the fans were praying to get into Europe, let alone top 4.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have Arsenal's money. They kept spending millions and millions on bad players. So it might be worse for us. So we need to stop aiming and talking about what we aim to do. Just gotta play football, play for the standard that you require mentally, not on the pitch. I can deal with players doing technically bad if their heart is into it.
Yeah.
I can't do it the other way around. They don't care about technical players. They don't give a fuck where they play.
That's the perfect way to put it. Now, we squeaked by Lecce. We got the 3 points. That's ultimately all that matters. This weekend, Atalanta.
Away.
Huh?
Away.
Yeah.
That's a tough
Atalanta.
match.
Away. And that's going to be what it's been for us over the past few seasons. Difficult, to say the least. I think, again, we will learn more about this team. The mindset and the mentality. And all I can do is hope, and all I can do is pray that the majority of the guys get their shit together and not play the way they did yesterday, because it was uninspiring, and that's putting it lightly.
And a home match.
Yeah.
I mean, Canada needs to be better. Everything needs to be better. But regardless, we're still UF fans. We'll still be here to cover the matches and watch all the matches.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And I mean, you guys, the first time ever the live chat has booed me, but
No, he corrected himself. He meant the stadium.
Oh, okay. Which, to be fair, I'll accept the boos anyways if you disagree with me. I don't care. You guys can agree, disagree. We love it. We're all about the open discussions, and no matter what your opinion is, how you see it, it's all good as long as there's respect involved. And booing would have been funny. That was funny. I thought it was funny. Listen, I think it's a combination of everything. Okay? When I start to question the players, when I start to demand more out of them, it's not giving a free pass to anybody else that's involved. Okay? But Juve needs to really wake up, open their eyes, and realize that with each passing season, and we continue to bring down that standard and start to try to accept top 4, all this, start to try to accept that, yeah, we're just a Europa League team, like maybe we're a Europa League team. No, fuck that. I'm not buying into all this nonsense, okay? It's time to push through It's time for these players to sack up and get the job done. Allegri is kind of like the boss for these players. So even when I hear things like, okay, well, they don't like, how many bosses have you worked for that you actually liked? Like, just being serious, like, how many bosses
Yeah,
have you worked for that you actually liked?
very few.
Very few. Very
Yeah.
few bosses have I. Now, did my performance ever like change because of that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because for me, it was a sense of pride and I knew what was on the line and it's taken that next step in my career, whether I stay here, whether I move forward and whatnot. And I did that. And I dealt with pricks for a long, long time until I became manager and whatnot. So I'm just saying, like, he's their boss. If they like him or not, I don't really care. I still need these guys to bring it game in, game out. And with one game a week, you shouldn't see uninspiring football. You really shouldn't. No. Next man up. Next man up.
I agree. And someone here thinks I'm Beppe. I'm not Beppe. I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint you. That's about it.
All right. All right. Let's get to Substore the Bard. We have time for a few of them, okay?
Let's go.
Would you rather have Juve in top four and keep Allegri or outside top four and sack Allegri? Oh,
That's pretty general. You mean by the end of the season?
yeah. Would you rather get top four and Max stay or outside top four and sack Max?
Uh, I still think that in order for Juve to move forward, it will be a lot harder to replace the roster than to replace the coach. So I'm still on the Allegri out, even if it means missing on Europe another season. I mean, if those are my only options. But I also said a couple of times, I'm happy to be wrong. I'll be happy if Allegri wins the Scudetto and he'll shut me up forever. I really hope that's the case. Um, but from what I've seen so far in the past 3 seasons, it will be easier to try a new system with a new coach after 3 years. I wasn't all for replacing a coach year after year after year, and no one's getting his transfer market with the players he wants, and have to deal with the player of the former coach. But it's been 3 seasons. We know it's a money issue. We know he might have left before the summer even started if we had actually money to spend. So I still want to see him out. I hope he turns it around, but I want to see him out.
So, if I have to pick out of these two, and get the booze ready, everybody, okay? Uh, you gotta be in top four. We need that money more than ever. We can all see what Juve's trying to do, and it's write those books, and then we can move forward and really take a good hard look. And Giuntoli can bring the magic, hopefully, okay? But he can't do so until we write the books. Making top four is a must. And like again, I'm not worried about not making top four. We'll do so. But man, to fall outside top four, lose those resources again, means potentially some changes to the roster that's currently there, a roster that currently needs more work. And if we get handcuffed again, that's disaster, everybody. That's disaster, everybody. So for me, out of those options, I would take top four every day and twice on Sunday. However, I'm sticking by my theory that no matter what happens this season, I think Max walks at the end of the year, regardless of how it ends. And I'm standing by that one. And no, I'm not going to put any kits on the line, okay? But I'm standing firm with that one, okay? We got another one asking, are the young guys bringing doubt into the seniors? No.
I don't think so. Danilo talked about it last season, and he said that they actually love the young guys because they don't have all the mental load from everything that happens. They just want to play, and it kind of infects the others. And that's at least what he said. If it translates to the pitch or not, that's a different story.
Yeah. I don't think so. And I would really hope not, because that would just be
Yeah.
sad. That would be extremely, extremely sad. The seniors are the ones that are supposed to be picking the youngsters up and guiding them and bringing them up. So if we're talking about this, I hope not. And I don't actually think that's the case. Probably one more. Let's see. Do you think Fagioli can play in Loca's role? I see fire in him, a sense of pride, and he's good. I
I
think
think
so.
he can. Yeah, I think he can.
Yep. Is it gonna save everything? I don't think so. I don't think so for the. I don't think so for the discussion we had earlier about how the midfield operates, and they all need to rotate in, and they all need to be more aware. And this is why, again, I'm asking so much more from these players. They don't look aware to me. You should never be at this level, playing this level, and still have to be told where you should be positionally based on which one of your teammates is carrying the ball. That's actually a joke. That, like, they're so unaware. And I have a major problem with that. But do I think Fagioli can do it? Absolutely. He's got all the tools to play in that spot. So I think so. Could Yildiz be that missing creative piece we so desperately need? I would have loved to see him come in yesterday during the second half. I think Yildiz could potentially fall into one of the same situations that we had with Paulo Dybala. I think it's going to be interesting where he gets his minutes, because he's kind of right in between this attacking mid and second striker. I really think like he's kind of right in between there. I think 10 would be stellar for him. But you're not going to take minutes from Federico Chiesa, and you're not going to play the two together. So I don't see him getting the minutes, but I think he should. He should, and we should test it more. But you also have a guy like Ailing Jr. that needs to he needs to get minutes. But
Yeah, I don't want to put all the creation load on one player. You need a few of those around the team, and it doesn't feel like we have some right now. Like if someone has to make a pass into a player's run, someone's running free in the midfield, from the midfield to the area behind the defense. Who do you want passing the ball to him? Is
yeah,
it Rabiot?
no.
No. Is it Locatelli? Is it Kostic? Is it McKennie? I don't know. I mean, looking back at Juve, even last Allegri season, you still had players who can create those type of chances, those creativity, those guys who see all the field and know what the players around them do. You had your Pjanic and Dybala and even Ronaldo and Cancelo, and you had guys who could create something out of nothing, more than one. I don't want to expect Ildis to suddenly come in and be this creative force all on his own. It needs to come from the other guys as well.
Yeah, yeah. Now it says there was another follow up question here. What's the solution for having more creativity up top? For me, it's always been a simple solution, and for multiple problems that we currently have. Like I just said about the rotation in the middle of the pitch, base out your two midfielders. Two midfielder base, push the one forward centrally as an attacking mid. So you naturally form a triangle. It's a lot harder for a team to rule out two players ahead of your defense than it is one. Stretch them out, spread them out. We'll be able to move it accordingly, and then keep those attacking options like Fagioli, maybe Yildiz if you want to try him in there. I wouldn't, but Fagioli, Miretti, and get them in the position to do damage. And that's what I would do. You've got Chiesa, who is very, very active as second striker. He's filling in space all over the place. I think a minor adjustment like that goes a long way for this Juve side. I honestly do. And I've been screaming that for I don't know how long. And again, the other teams that play in this setup do it, and they don't have any problems. I would do it. I would do it. Okay? That's just me.
Yeah, I think we still need another player in there. Mainly because we don't have a striker who's really good with his back to goal. Vlahovic is awful at it. It takes him forever to turn around. Milik barely plays. Keane, I have no idea what he's doing these days. And we need someone else because our attacking plan is kind of evident. Chiesa is the live wire, the guy everyone looks to for creating chances and stretching the defense and taking players one on one. And the striker is pretty static, so I think we need another player in there. That's why I'm always talking about the 4-3-3 because I don't think with the current roster we have that two up front are enough. Vlahovic is tremendous with his face to goal. Look at his goals against Lazio. That's what he can do when he gets the ball with his face to goal. With his back to goal, just go through, a compilation of his goals. See how many of them are with his back to goal and how many are with his face to goal. So we can't have them like rooted to the spot, looking to make the same moves, pass it to him with his back. He passes to Chiesa, runs inside, and trying those double passes. We need another guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at Nader here. This is one of the best podcasts by us. Cathartic as hell. A football psych session. There you go.
Oh
There you
yeah,
go.
we're not experts. We are here to vent and air out our frustrations or enjoyments from Juve. But we're not ESPN reporters, so
I've got two more things before we sign off, okay? We're going to finish up with this one from Dells. If you could bring back a prime version. Oh my God, I lost Omer. Oh, brutal. Hopefully he'll jump back on. We'll wait for him here. But I am going to tackle this one. Okay, he's back. There we
yeah,
go.
accidentally clicked on hang up.
Too excited. Now, Dells, if you could bring back a prime version of one of these guys to help the team, who do you pick? Buffon, Cannavaro, Nedved, ADP, Trezeguet. Who do you pick, Omer?
ADP.
Me too. And he did have the
Yeah,
most assists, in Juve history, and he could score them. It's ADP for me. It's ADP for me, and a leader, all day. But if you
yeah,
get prime version of ADP, oh fuck, lights out, lights out. It's ADP.
yeah. That's going back to like 1998. That was
Yeah,
one hell of a player.
yeah. Ballon d'Or chase there that season. So yeah, ADP. Now, I said we got one more thing to finish on. Karma. Karma will always come back to get you. All right? It will always come back and rear its vengeful head. Okay? Here we go.
Yes, I was hoping you'd talk about it.
All last season, we had to hear about this moral fucking high ground from Napoli fans. All right? Oh my God. The moral high ground. Juve and these cheaters in this plus Valenza case, even though it's only worth 3.6%. Oh my, how the mighty have fallen. I absolutely love it. And I've kept all the receipts talking dynasty, okay? And yesterday, oh my God, was it ever beautiful to watch, okay? Absolutely loved it. Loved watching every second of it. Number one, they're struggling with results. Love it. Inject it to my veins. Number two, De Laurentiis again still being investigated for this Osimhen deal. Beautiful. False accounting. Oh, inject it to my veins. 1 million kits trying to capitalize on a cokehead that you actually pushed away from your club. And I love Maradona, okay, like as a player. Okay, so take it easy, take it easy. But they're trying to cash in on the guy's death, even though they did him dirty, sent him away at the end. And then a simple 2 little TikTok videos spark the fire. And Osimhen has deleted everything tied to Napoli off his Instagram account. He never signed a renewal, so there is no renewal deal done in place. Oh my God, this is just beautiful to see. It is just beautiful to see, And I did say at the start, because I'll be quite honest, everybody, I didn't realize that coconut was like a derogatory term, like a racist
I
term.
personally never heard
I've
it,
never heard it.
in a racist term. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's right or
I've
not because I never
never
heard
heard
it.
that in a racist like manner, or that never even knew that. And I was
But even
told
if it's
yesterday that
not,
that is in fact obviously like that. Now,
that's
nonetheless,
like a 5-year-old running their accounts. I mean, that was in poor taste, even if it's not racist.
and if you look at their videos, like they're just terrible in general, because then everybody started posting everything that they do, because naturally you're going to get chihuahuas trying to defend their club, and they're just saying it's just like some young kid that runs the TikTok account or whatever. Look at all these other videos. Well, it still doesn't make it right if he used a racist term towards one of your players. Absolute joke and laughable. And man, who knows what's going to happen now? But Osimhen has deleted everything from his Instagram associated with Napoli, and his agent has come out and said that they are looking to take legal action, anything at the cost of protecting his client, Victor Osimhen.
You
Oh
know what
my
I
God,
like?
wild stuff.
You know what I like the most? Um, they had their first championship in I don't know how many years, and half a decade, whatever, from since the 80s or something. Now, after that season, their coach left, their best defender left, their sporting director left for a rival club. Nonetheless, it took 6 games for Osimhen to just lose it at the club. So they've won one championship, and everything is crumbling down. How? How?
I mean, again, flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle. That's it. Those guys
Yeah,
played out of their heads for a season. They got it done. But a dynasty? Well, I think a dynasty would start with the player at the forefront being able to bag a goal within 5 months of play. So you could
yeah.
start there with Cavaradona. But anyways, I'm here
Making
for it,
an assumption.
everybody.
Yeah.
And I love
Make,
it. And even if we're frustrated with the play over the past 2 games, and Atalanta's going to be tough on the weekend, I'm going to be following this and loving every single second of it, baby. Those chihuahuas. And I kept all the receipts. There.
yeah.
Karma's a bitch, Napoli. Where's that moral high ground now? I absolutely love it. Down in flames goes the dynasty. A 1-year dynasty. They're finished. They never even began. They never even
Yeah.
began. Okay? Serie A continues to not run away from Juventus. Juventus is stumbling, and I will always say that. Okay?
You know that I kind of want him to do better because I don't want him sacking Rudy Garcia. I
I
want
know. I
him to
want him
stay
to
for
stay
the
there
entire
forever.
season.
I
Can
want him to
I
stay there
can't.
forever.
Yeah, I can't have them losing 2 or 3 games because then they'll sack him immediately. And no, I want him to stay till the end of the season and keep ruining the club from within, because we know he's a crybaby, and we
Yeah.
all remember him from his Roma days, and we all remember him from that awful Lyon game against Sarri. And the guys just hated across Juve, even without being Napoli coach. So even him failing at Napoli is actually adding more sugar on top of that sandwich.
It's it's a beautiful sight right now, everybody. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
sight. So let's enjoy that and take that into the next game, all right? At least as the big positive that came out of yesterday, because I love every second of it. You guys, I made it through. Under the weather. I got to go take care of the sick girls in the house now, all right? Omer, as always, an absolute pleasure. Live chat, please drop a like before you sign out. You guys were fantastic again today. Felt better just airing everything out, okay? Feel much, much better. Let's get ready for Atalanta. You guys know the drill. Match day live and then watch along, all right? Till next time, as always, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Ciao tutti.
Yeah.